One of the most tragic figures of the Tudor era was Henry VIII's teenage fifth wife, Catherine Howard. Barely out of childhood, she was thrust into the dangerous world of court politics, ultimately meeting a fate as brutal as it was swift. Accused of adultery and treason, she was executed within the walls of the Tower of London, her young life cut short by the axe. But what made her downfall so shocking was not just the scandal that led to her death, but the way in which her very existence was seemingly erased from history. Catherine Howard was a mere teenager when she caught the eye of the aging and increasingly paranoid King Henry VIII. Serving as a lady-in-waiting to his fourth wife, Anne of Cleves, Catherine was quickly swept up in the king's affections. He was captivated by her youth and charm, declaring her the very jewel of womanhood. Desperate to move on from his failed marriage to Anne, Henry married Catherine on July 28, 1540, the very same day that his former chief minister, Thomas Cromwell, was executed. But Catherine was woefully unprepared for the role of queen. Unlike Henry's previous wives, she had little education or political influence. She was carefree, naive, and more interested in courtly pleasures than the serious duties of queenship. However, her greatest mistake was a dangerous liaison with a man named Thomas Culpeper, one of the king's closest courtiers. Rumours of Catherine's past indiscretions had already begun to circulate, but it was her secret meetings with Culpeper that led to her downfall. With the help of her lady-in-waiting, Jane Boleyn, the widow of Anne Boleyn's brother, George, Catherine and Culpeper exchanged love letters and arranged private meetings, an act of breathtaking recklessness given the king's history with his unfaithful wives. When Archbishop Thomas Cranmer uncovered evidence of her affair, including a damning love letter written in Catherine's own hand, Henry was informed while praying at Hampton Court Palace. The revelation sent him into a furious rage. His young queen was immediately stripped of her title, arrested, and sent to the Tower of London. On February 13, 1542, at dawn, Catherine Howard was led to the scaffold within the Tower of London. She had spent the previous night practicing how to place her head on the executioner's block, hoping for a swift and merciful death. According to legend, her final words were heartbreaking. "I die a queen, but I would rather die the wife of Culpeper." Other reports claim she merely accepted her fate, stating she deserved to die 1,000 deaths for betraying her husband. Unlike Anne Boleyn, who had been granted the more humane death by sword, Catherine was executed with an axe. With one clean stroke, her head was severed from her body, her blood soaking into the wooden scaffold. Her remains were unceremoniously collected, wrapped in a cloth, and hastily buried beneath the floor of the Chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula within the Tower of London. There was no grand funeral, no royal mourning, only a rough grave and a layer of quicklime to hasten her decay. Henry VIII wanted her forgotten. Centuries later, during Queen Victoria's reign, the chapel underwent restoration. The remains of many individuals executed at the tower were exhumed and identified. Among them was Anne Boleyn, whose skeleton was recognised by distinct features recorded at the time of her death. But when experts searched for Catherine Howard's remains, they found nothing conclusive. Catherine Howard's story is one of youthful folly, manipulation, and tragic betrayal. She was little more than a child when she was thrust into a role she was unprepared for, and she paid the ultimate price for her mistakes. While Henry VIII ensured that she was erased from history, her story still haunts the Tower of London, where her restless spirit is said to linger, forever running toward the chapel where she once begged for mercy. Today, a memorial stone within the chapel marks the general burial site of those executed in the tower. But beneath it, there is no certainty that Catherine Howard lies there. Henry VIII may have succeeded in wiping her from the earth, but he could never erase her from history.